Greetings, everybody, and welcome to my YouTube channel, All That Is. We are on episode number 3 of the Shamankas, the Trinity alignment of Shekinah Grace, Shekinah Ma, and myself. Thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you for subscribing. Please put a like on this video. And let's say a quick hello to my guests, Shekinah Grace, Shekinah Ma. Welcome to the show.
Blessings, everyone.
All right, before we dive into this show, I just wanted to get us to collect ourselves and just gather our energies as we bring ourselves into this present now moment, breathing in and out. And as I always say, take what resonates and leave the rest behind. And so, closing our eyes, if you would like to do so, letting go of any and all distractions, clearing away all energies that may want to harm us and prevent us from bringing forth our truth. And as we clear away all of the debris from our past, what no longer serves us, we call upon our higher selves, connected to source of all creation, to please be with us here now, protect us as we come together and have this healthy discussion. And now I would like to welcome Shekinah Ma to lead us in prayer and bring us together in sacred ceremony.
Blessings and welcome, all of you beautiful souls who are tuning in right now and coming into this realm of love and bliss. I did pick some cards for our directions today as I was guided by my dragon oracle. And something I've just been tuning into a lot, just to give context, is that there is a very powerful awakening within the telluric fields, which is like the dragon realms, the dragon lines, the ley lines, the meridians of the Pachamama, of our Mother Earth. And so today I've set the medicine wheel to be held by guardian dragons. And so I'm just going to invite everyone to close your eyes and go inside, as the outer realm is really just, a nice mirror of the inner realm. And so we want to sow a lot of seeds of peace, healing, forgiveness, love, and beauty into this sacral chakra today. And so coming into our beautiful medicine wheel circle, we always start to the east, to the place of the rising sun. And in the East, we acknowledge that that is the masculine side, the right side of our own bodies. And so I want you to just palpitate lovingly, perhaps starting with your right hand, going up into your right arm, up into your right shoulder and your right side of the neck. And just gently, lovingly bringing your hand, your touch, your healing, your love, your light, and your intention into the east, into the right side of the body, the masculine side, where the sun rises like an erect phallus, rises up into the east. And in the east, we see the beautiful dragon of the earth dragon. And the earth dragon says to be grounded and ready as the change is upon the earth. And so I am seeing in the earth, I'm seeing the rising of these new earth vibrations. And in the east, we are rising in this new earth vibration. And so may we tune into that right side of our body and allow for all of that powerful yang vibration to come and rise and to stand guard and to give us aid. As a dragon rider, we are in the element of air, ready to serve, ready to protect, and ready to be of this new vibration opening, expanding, and carrying us up, up, up into the high dimensions from which we have fallen from grace down, down, down to this third D. Standing in the south, looking to that place of the dragon lines as we look to the South Pole, as we look to the place of fire, to the place of passion. Let us connect with our feet. Let us feel our feet as a connection to the earth and to the place of this beautiful rising flame, the sacred flame. We have recently learned that the glycerin and the potassium has been found to be the conductor of the fire-breathing dragons. And so we let out a nice big breath, extending our tongue, letting out that dragon force from our own throat chakra, from our own mouths. And we just burn away anything that is no longer serving us, and we clear our path. And here, standing in the south, is the Omega Dragon. And this Omega Dragon connects us to all living beings. It is omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent, and it is our ability to stand in our power, as our own Mother Earth is now rising back into her own personal power. And so we honor the South, and we honor the dragon lines that connect the electromagnetic grid of the planet. And now we turn to the West, and we look to the place of water. And here we see the black dragon from Saturn. And this dragon comes into the female feminine side. And this dragon says, I have come to reconcile and redeem. And so on the West, on the place of the feminine, on the place of our left side of the body, let us stroke our left side, our arm up into our shoulder, into our neck, and just see that our right arm and our left arm are now these dragon wings. And so our dragon wings are igniting, our wings are igniting, the cage is opening, and we are being set free. And as we are set free, we reconcile and we redeem the sacred and divine feminine. Coming now into the north, into the place of earth, into the place of the North Pole, up into Polaris, up into this place where we see the northern lights, and we see the beautiful realm of ice and snow. Let us now gaze upon the beautiful dragon that is an orange gold dragon from Arcturus. And this dragon comes in through the North Pole, which is the throne of God, our crown chakra. And it comes right through the crown chakra of Pachamama, Mother Earth. And it is the orange gold dragon from Arcturus. And this beautiful dragon is ushering in the golden age. And we welcome these 4 directional dragons to stand guard on the right side, our feet, our left side, and our crown, our head, and our beautiful, beautiful North Pole. And as we see these beautiful dragons, which are now the elemental dragons guarding the air, the fire, the water, and the earth, we come now into the place where it all meets as one. And I'd like you to bring your wings, bring your hands now to your heart. Female's left is covered by the right, protected and guarded by the masculine. Masculine, you are hand to the heart, and the left covers you, feeding you and guiding you, as the Egyptians say, man looks to woman and woman looks to God. And so the feminine is rising, and with them we take the masculine back up into the Godhead. And so in this place of the heart, we see the Kuan Yin's pink dragon. And this is very appropriate as the heart chakra is the place of compassion. It is the place of unconditional love. And this beautiful pink dragon carrying the vibrations of Kuan Yin, the goddess of compassion, is now going to bring through that agape and wash the planet from all fear and divisiveness and battling war, astral, egoic energies, and raise us back up to love where we belong. We now are opened and protected and guided and guarded by these sacred and beautiful elemental dragons. Come to help us bring in this golden age for us to birth through our wombs, through our sacral chakra, to seed and to become conceived. Aho, mitakiyasin. All of our relations. So it is.
And so it is. That's the end of the show, ladies and gentlemen. I think she said it all.
Get your hibiscus tea and let's go.
I think you covered it all, Shekinah Ma.
Those
That was
dragons.
so powerful, so powerful. I love it when the dragons come in, hey? They're just so
Oh,
powerful. It's just amazing.
let's see if we can do justice to Kuan Yin's pink dragon.
That's so beautiful.
It really is so beautiful. And
Yeah.
it's so appropriate because she is like where all of our umbilical cords connect to her, they say in the Buddhist
Mm-hmm.
tradition. And so, really, as a central card in the medicine wheel, it's like everything's connecting to her, and she is just showering upon us all so much love and compassion and beauty. Just lap it up like a kitty cat.
Absolutely. I second that. Well, the divine feminine energies have been coming in so powerfully, and I think I mentioned this to you guys last week. I started this divine feminine meditation, 7-day meditation, and I've completed the Kuan Yin day as well, and it was just so powerful, so beautiful. And like you said, she just came in like a dragon and just blessed us with her presence. And I've been getting transmissions from these divine masters, these divine feminine masters. And so I intend to package that entire, 7-day meditation and offer it up. It's just been so incredible. Yeah, yeah. So thank you for bringing in those dragons. It's so beautiful. Um, So yeah, just going back to just briefly reflect on what we did last week. We worked on the root chakra. We talked about all of those very dense energies, the victim victimizer mentality, and how, we brought in all of those topics to encourage folks to, stand in their sovereignty, be grounded, don't encourage that victim victimizer attitude anymore. And I think the two of you brought in those energies really powerfully. Um, and I just wanted to reiterate what Shekinah Ma said. And she said, stop feeding the darkness. Listen to care again. Learning to care again and listen to your heart, And when you care, you will do anything to know better, to do better. So I thought that was really powerful stuff. And then Shekinah Grace, towards the end, you brought in some stuff that really spoke to my heart, where you said, and I'm just going to read off of what you said because I think it was from something that you had picked up. So it said, speaking to the heart of that which we want to collect, allow it to collapse in our arms, be the heart that speaks the truth, and be the arms that catch it. I thought that was really, really beautiful. And so as we move through, through the root chakra and come into the sacral, we just want to make sure that our intention is heard. And so we are here to just take a snapshot, if you will, of what the inversion looks like in each of these chakras, and then alchemize that with healing, bridging that gap between the two diverse energies or the two polarities with meditations, with healing, with sessions, and the Gridwork mission, and all the things that we offer on our individual and collective basis. And so ultimately bringing all of that together and tying it in a neat bow as we come to our ultimate goal of living in a high vibrational state and birthing those new earth energies and the golden age for everyone. And so when we take these deep dives into that denseness, whether it's the root chakra or the sacral chakra, we are diving into the underbelly, if you will, of what the invaders have sort of created for us in that 3D reality. And so sometimes these topics can be really hard for us to deal with and to sort of take into our realization, because a lot of us like to bypass that in a way. And I have done that many a time, right? And so the way forward is the way through it. And that's my belief, healing those wounds and coming through on the other side as a sovereign being, as a healed individual in the light. And so as we engage with these sacral chakra energies, I would like to just let everybody know that, while we're talking about these harsh subjects, just breathe it in and allow it to sort of engage with you and see how that feels in your energy, in your body, and try to breathe past it and just heal through all of our meditations. And I know Shekinah Grace has got an offering for us at the end of this chat, which will hopefully bring healing to you as well. So stay tuned for that as well. And so as we go through this, we will be touching on some healing and delving into these past as well. And so just to engage with what that sacral chakra means, in Sanskrit it means one's own abode. And the energy of the sacral chakra says, I feel. And it represents sexuality, sensuality, pleasure, sociability. And it says, I deserve love. I deserve affection, to be treated with kindness, to be treated with respect. And it says, I am divine love. I am of the Creator. And I am the stargate to the divine. Isn't that beautiful? Right? And so where the inversion comes, and this is where the horrific things happen, it's where these energies are hijacked and inverted, if you will, and all these energies are sort of sliced into this beautiful creation of the divine to bring in all of these inserts into those beautiful divine energies. And so um, I thought this was really poignant, and this was something that Shekinah Ma sent to me, and I'm going to read it out. And it deals with parasites. And the way she said it was, it's the pirates, right? And so it's the hijacking of our vessels and the hypersexuality that is imposed on the human being. And so she says, and this is an excerpt from an article in terms of how the parasites manifest in our lives, right? And so the article goes on to say, they live in the gut, but they dream in your brain. They whisper through the nervous system, clawing at dopamine levers, turning you into a puppet with a hard-on. Mucus is their medium, sugar is their fuel, meat is their carrier, and you are their Uber, their nightclub, their Tinder hookup, and maternity ward. I thought that just encapsulated everything, right? That we were going to talk about. So, ladies, take the floor and let me know what your thoughts are.
Mm. I work with children and I see, there's some obvious levels where you can tell somebody is carrying a lot of parasites by means of like picking one's nose and, constantly touching and putting everything in their mouths, and also beginning to masturbate. And this is kind of what sparked me on a research as to this parasitic, which was very well captured graphically, poetically, yet graphically in that article. And so I began to do some research, and it led me into, not just from that biological, physical 3D level of parasites, as in these worms, etc., which can actually look very alien if you ever look at them.
Yeah,
They're
absolutely.
very awkward, not a happy to imagine those things of inside of you. But then also to then come into the incubi and succubi, which are also parasites, but they're more on an energetic, ethereal, or spiritual level. So when I looked through all the history of sexuality, from the yogic lens to, divine marriage and the Hieros Gamos and all these wonderful, like karma yoga, tantra, all these various different ways of the sexual sacral chakra, I began to see in the inversion that, we have this beautiful, fertile, magical lovemaking Kama Sutras. There's so much involved. And yet, when it's hijacked and when the pirates come and take over that ship, that place, that abode, what we witness is a depletion of life force energy, an aggressive, exhausted, just manipulative, like subject that is rendered from this parasitic invasion and force. And so there's not a loving giving, there's a very forceful taking and feeding off of loose harvesting factory, which then leads us into the adrenochrome, and we see it through the media and sexuality being, displayed in all the sorts of music videos and movies, etc., etc. So we know it has a great power. It's the power to create. And when it's hijacked, it's actually the power to destroy.
Yeah, it has many tentacles, doesn't it? It reaches into all areas of society, and you name it. They are infiltrated in every part of society, and it goes into the last 5 years of us suffering through that, the jab. That was a big deal as well. And Shekinah Grace, I know we wanted to talk a little bit about birth control and how that sort of is affecting the womb, right? And that's another tentacle that's, part of the inversion as well, and how birth control is affecting our society and how that has infiltrated itself into how it's impacted the womb and that hijacking, if you will. But if you have any thoughts on what was already said, please go ahead.
Well, what I keep seeing is the relationship between these centers. And so
The what, sorry?
the relationship between these temples, these energetical, like chakra temples or centers in the body. And what Shekinah Ma is speaking to with these children being birthed potentially from a disharmonic or hijacked understanding of what the purpose of the sacral chakra serves in terms of our spiritual embodiment and ascension, is a lack of heart, a lack of involving the heart chakra. And so what kept coming to me today was the unification of the heart and the womb. The heart womb is one operating system, a spiritual technology that serves to activate the Stargate. And so, you could think of it as two Stargates, but I kind of feel it and see it as one Stargate, where the womb waters are like the conductor, electric, like the energetical, you know, how certain things get amplified, you know, through like electricity gets created through that ether, that ether water or fire water electricity and spark, which turns on the Merkaba technology of the Stargate of our heart. And I see them and feel them as one unified um, organ, you could say. So, yeah, womb. And what's happened is we've been so bombarded by artificial harmonics, like artificial frequencies. We've shifted into disharmony in and adopted that or accepted that as normal. And the heart actually is what it creates the electromagnetic field, and it's what guides us. When we consult our heart, it's what guides us to find the harmony. And how do we find the harmony? Through feeling. And you mentioned that sacral chakra is I feel. And so they're working together to find and feel the harmonious resonance. And I think lovemaking and co-creation, whether it's birthing new realities, creativity, projects, new worlds, new universes, or an actual child of God, that it's actually we can no longer birth or create without consulting the heart, without involving the heart. And so what we've done is, because the heart was hijacked, which is also the astral field, which is entirely hijacked with artificial frequencies as well, we started birthing both children and creations that were discordant, chaotic, and disharmonious. And so the solar plexus in between, to me, is that like fire dragon breath. It's like that building of like, and it's also where I feel love comes from isn't the heart so much as the solar plexus, because it's our emotion and it's like the impulse to act. And so our actions haven't been guided by the impulse of love. They've been guided by, egoic pursuits, which is part of the mind control, which is part of the hijacking.
Which is coming from the root chakra, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just like, there's a connection, and I just feel like we can't talk about the womb without talking about the heart, which has already been seeded and mentioned in the conversation so far. But that's how I'm feeling. And that's why I feel that we're born with like weaknesses in our biology and energy field. We're born with a sense of like fragmentation or a lack of wholeness, or something's missing, because the harmony, not as much love, but like the love is what sustains the creation. Love is what sustains the life that is birthed. Love is what sustains what we've birthed, right? It's like we sustain our project, we sustain our vision, we sustain our dream, we sustain a child's life that we're taking care of because of the impulse of love to do so. I feel like love is a sustaining force, but it's actually harmony, a lack of understanding our feeling body, of resonance, that it has prevented us from this true womb birthing, if that makes sense. So it's like it's the harmony is missing, and what is harmonious and resonant for you, and where the harmony is felt and found, then it's like then that stirs the emotions, which is energy in motion, and creates the momentum that sustains any creation.
Yeah, beautiful. Absolutely, I totally agree with you. And just something in connection with that came up through my meditation with Hathor. And she works a lot with energy and the DNA, right? And so she demonstrated to me on a physical level, and I felt this somatically in my body. So you can do it right now. Like if you go and just push on your heart, like try to find that heart center, you will find a spot there that's very sensitive. You'll feel a difference as you go up and down that central column. And that sensitive spot is what she calls the zygote. And what a zygote is scientifically is it's the earliest development stage of the egg, right? Of the human egg. And so it's that connection of the egg and the sperm coming together. And so this is the divine connection with you as a cell within your body. And so it's the divine and the human body creating that cell, that zygote. And so when you connect that to the womb, that's where the actual biological male and female connect. So it's like you and the divine spark is at the heart, and then the womb is the male and female connection when you have that sperm and the egg union, right? So that totally makes sense, in what you've just said. And because we are bodies of frequency, it's like all of these things are working in synchronicity with each other. And when you insert it with the impressions of the inversion, it just totally garbles that energy and that frequency. And so they're not in sync anymore. Right? Go ahead, Shekinah Ma.
That brings me to something I was tuning into, and I looked it up so I could have it perfect. So the color order in a double rainbow is reversed compared to a primary rainbow because of the second internal reflection of light within water. The second reflection inverts the color sequence with red on the inner side and violet on the outer side. So what I wanted to bring through this for is because we see that we have a rainbow bridge, and that is our chakras, right? And then we see with the regular way in which we are upright, we start with the roots, which go into the earth, and then we have the water, and then we have the fire, and then we have the earth, or sorry, we have the heart, and we have air, and then we have ether, and then we go up to the third eye and crown, right? But when we come into this plane or dimension, it's all inverted and it's upside down. And so, and this is very much expressed in this kind of new modern relation within like this whole, sex change, gender identity confusion, and so to put aside all judgment and all that speculative or, conspiracy against all those ideas, just from a pure scientific state, it's like we see we're in an inversion on this third dimensional plane. And so the root is upside down, and therefore it's almost like a soul trap, because I've had dream after dream where I'm shooting up, but then I go boing, and it's like a thunderdome. It's like some dome.
A
And you
glass ceiling, right?
can't
It hits the glass
penetrate that
ceiling, yeah.
dome, right? And so it's because we're upside down here. And the red should be on the bottom, right? The purple up here in these higher chakra realms that receive the cosmic intelligence and then brings it into form. So I just wanted to bring that in because it really does just encapsulate a big part of the challenge that we are under, which is to right us from our upside down nature.
Absolutely, I totally agree. And this speaks directly to my own teachings and how I've come to my own realizations. And I think that first initial step is to connect strongly with your higher self energies. And that just connects directly to your oversoul, to the creator, right? And it's like going straight through. You don't need to go through the church, or, don't need to go through the religion. And no offense to anybody, but you are a direct conduit to the divine. So you don't need any influence from anybody. You have that direct phone call to the creator. And so that makes absolutely, makes sense. And so for us to, you're right, for us to get that right side up, we need to make that true connection with the higher self and align ourselves with that creator energy.
100%.
Shekinah Grace?
I keep thinking about the moon and Saturn. If we're, speaking to the things we'd like to collapse, and then catch into our arms through love. That's what makes the glass dome or the cap, the frequency net.
The glass ceiling, if you will.
Glass ceiling, yeah. I've witnessed in sessions where there's a heavy Saturn on the head of the client, and there's just, they're unable to break through that descending serpent fire of like the weight and the heaviness of the entrapment and the enslavement of the money system and of the, and it's like this, it's like I can't even really, it's difficult for me even to support lifting that, that, oh, it's just such a stubborn block, to access the higher dimensions and the higher realms. And, I keep thinking about the moon, and you brought in, so there is, one, stream of line of thinking that's, our moon is a satellite and it's transmitting artificial frequencies and controlling and manipulating the waters of Mama Gaia, the oceans, the tides, which is also then our womb, and our body of water, which influence our emotional fluctuations and manipulates our reactionary tendencies and our hormone messes with our hormonal balancing. And I think there's a way to align with, if there was an original positive intention for the moon. I don't like to make it black and white, but the reality of a lot of this matrix control and manipulation of the masses comes through that Saturn, Orion hijacking Saturn and then transmitting frequencies through the satellite of the moon to Earth. So I know in Vedic astrology, the moon is strongly correlated with mind. Okay, so there you have the mind control. In Western astrology, it's related to mother and our emotional inner world and body. And so then you have the hijacking and the dismissal and the denial and the shadow banning of the mother and the divine feminine, the grandmother, the mother, the daughter, all of this, the dark mother, bringing all of those kinds of false light onto the divine feminine embodiment and consciousness. So I just wanted to bring that in. And then Kuan Yin shows up. And usually when I see like an image or a painting of Kuan Yin, often the moon is behind her. And I feel like she comes in to stand in front of those frequencies, those false, that false transmission. And she brings in the compassion to say, hey, it's like she teaches us how to witness and move through all of the pain body, which is also connected to sacral chakra and the womb. Let's witness the trauma and the pain. Let's have compassion, unconditional compassion towards ourselves and everything that we've gone through. And she kind of like disrupts the victimization and the vulnerability to that false lunar frequency coming in to manipulate and control us. She stands in front of that with her white dragon that pierces through the darkness and shows us that we're more than this matrix. She helps us to shift from the lunar to the solar. And yeah, so that's what's really coming through in this moment with tying in Kuan Yin and the moon. And I always wondered why the moon was often in those paintings. And now I feel like, for me, that feels like the truth, because she allows us to come into our witness or our I am present state and have compassion and unconditional self-love to help us heal from all of the trauma and from the all of the assault to the womb and to our hearts and to our bodies, and yeah, to shift us out of that, to be able to then look and see the reality, to see things as they are, not as we were programmed to see them.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. And that's connected to those frequency fences as well, right? In terms of, the 5G and our cell phones, right? Our cell phones, anything really around us is all connected to this false energy that maintains us into that low vibrational energy field, right? And so when these strong energies of the Divine Mother come in and connect us to our heart, and we stand in that sovereign energy, it's like all of these energies are just shattered, right? Like you said, she powerfully comes in, and that's just one aspect of the Divine Mother, right? And so when you bring in these others that, make up the Sophia collective consciousness, it's that much more powerful than anchoring those energies into our body. And we are essentially antennas, right, for this divine energy, right? And so we work as those powerful antennas. And so the more of us that come together and are willing and able and understand what's going on, the more powerfully we can anchor those higher energies into the earth and just dismantle this false frequency fence, if you will, right? Whether it's coming in from the moon or whether it's being generated from the earth, and return us back to that original blueprint of the womb of the Divine Mother energies within us. Because when you think about it, the mother is the heart of the family, right? And so it's like a spear going directly to the heart of the womb, right? When all of these energies are being siphoned away from that energy, right? Because when we are co-creating with the divine in terms of singing, writing, art, all those beautiful things that we create from that sacral energy. And so when all of these things are suffocated, if you will, because when you look at it, you don't see an artist being a millionaire. That's very, very rare, right? Or a billionaire for that matter, right? They are totally subjugated, and their growth is stemmed at every possible way, in every possible way. It's the same thing with writers. There's very few and far between that actually are able to speak their truth, and for them to get to be famous, they have to go through all of these hurdles, right? And during that process, they potentially lose their soul for for freedom of speech, and just being able to speak their truth, right, and become famous, but in exchange for something that's totally not in alignment. So there's all of these different things that come into that process, if you will, right, of removing that darkness from our reality. And we have to be aware of it. I think that's the most important thing, becoming aware of it and acknowledging it and doing something about it, standing in our sovereignty, becoming disciplined, and coming into right relationship with the divine and following that pattern, if you will, within our own lives, and being that beacon for that energy coming in. And that just ripples out into the collective. And like Shekinah Grace said, that's that energy of compassion, of unconditional love that we need to reflect out into the collective to wipe out all of these old patterns and old belief systems.
Mm-hmm. Well, and just looking at history or her story, we see, there's a fabulous book. It's called Alphabet versus the Goddess. And at one time, and for a very, very, very long time, we were a very matrilineal based planet. And the woman, the female, the feminine was revered and seen as, like the queen. Like each woman was like a queen. And, we lived in a higher, say, state, back, this is like earliest is 30,000 years of documented, archaeological finds. They can date back 30,000 years ago, which takes us into like Atlantean times, where we see art, and we see various different, relics from the past, whether they be from sculptures or vases or tablets. But it's very clear that the female is, a very high state in the society. And at that time, we see that there was beauty, there was feasting, there was fertility, there was dance, there was music, there was a togetherness. And then, as we shifted for whatever reason, the cycles, the seasons, the yugas, we shifted into a very linear connection, even just in the alphabet. So we went from symbol of like a hieroglyph to then a letter, or a, very like in the Chinese, they call them the what do they call it? They're not signature. They're well, the calligraphy, anyways, doesn't matter. But at one point it was like an art, and then it became just a linear reading. We actually used to read left to right. So when we dropped into the linear from the picture, then we shifted to the patriarch, and the world became very male dominating. And that's where we came into a lot of war, and we came into a lot of politics, like politics was born. And we came into hierarchy, and we came into this, commerce. So whereas one time things were shared, say in a potlatch ceremony, we share, in this present time, every single thing is taxed to oblivion and comes with a price tag. So we can see, they're very, very polarized energies just in our history, just on our walk on earth. And this is, I believe, like all for our learning. However, like we need to come now into a balance where it's the masculine and the feminine together in harmony and in balance. And I think that's what we're coming into in this new golden age.
Absolutely. I'm just going to play a video.
Can I speak something quickly that's just spinning off of what Shekinah Ma shared?
Yeah, of course. Go ahead.
First of all, just say today I've been getting this a lot, so I just want to speak to it because she brought it forth. And this is just a different perspective on like the Capricorn energies. I'm being told are also inverted. Capricorn is not patriarchy. It is actually grandmother earth energy. And it's not climb to the top of the ladder of success in a linear fashion. It's a spiral of the wisdom transmission that goes from grandmother to mother to daughter. And so I just want to speak into that to collapse the false definition and association of Capricorn being a masculine, sort of linear patriarchal sign, and liberate it from the Saturnian frequencies and that are artificial, and reclaim the grandmother earth energies for that. And then I'll just mention that in Vedic culture, there's still people who honor the Vedic culture, and they speak of the arts. So this relates to sacral because it's our creative center. They view the arts as the path, the highest path to divine communion and union with the divine. And so that should raise our eyebrows or make us question why we have adopted beliefs like poor artist, or we can't have creative pursuits. It's systematic to keep us disconnected from our direct connection to God creator, prime creator, God source, the eternal mother creator, birther of all life. And then the taxing, of that patriarchal system. We work as slaves to pay for our lives. So to pay for the cost of being born, there's a cost to being born under that system. And so we slave away with very little room for honoring a creative download or impulse when it arises in the geometry of now. And if we want to pursue that, we have all this red tape and bureaucracy to go through. We have to get permission. We have to, like there's all of this, like these blocks and obstacles to just building and creating in the moment when the inspiration lands. And so it's just like, like we're drudging.
It's a drudgery, yeah.
It's such a drudgery. So I just wanted to share that. And what it did also was it did create contention between the people, because it's like everyone just inherently knows that this isn't what Mother, Father, God wanted for his children.
Yeah.
It's like we have this creative desire. We have this impulse to love, to show compassion, to show up, to help, to share, but we can't because we have to make our money, we have to pay our taxes, and there's no room for that. So I just wanted to speak to that.
Thank you. No, that goes directly to that whole, um, what do you call it? The monarchy, right? And the systems that they have in place. Like when you think about the registrations, right? So you've got to register your birth, you've got to register your license, you've got to register your business, and the taxes feed into that, right? So everything is a blockage. Like, you know, you take one step forward and you've got 10 steps back. It's like they reel you back and say, no, 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 you can't do this until you do X, Y, and Z, you know? And that totally relates, right? And we are blocked at every way, every possible way. And when you think about the last 5 years, like they completely desecrated all of the small businesses, you know, with this whole COVID shenanigan, right? So there's no creativity there anymore. It's like, you know, they put in the brakes, they put on the brakes some more, some more, some more, and people just fell apart because they couldn't survive anymore, right? And so now we have to, like you said, it's a drudgery. We have to claw our way back from that, you know. And a lot of those good people that were creative just lost the plot, you know. So now they have to think of new creative ways to overcome that again, right? So you're absolutely right. So let's talk about solutions, right? Now we're coming into the compassion phase of our discussion, and I just thought that this video spoke to that really well. So let's have a quick listen. It's not a very long video. Just give me a thumbs up, guys, when I play it, just to make sure we have the sound.
Many women right now are noticing that their cycles are completely out of whack. It might be too early, too late, or you may be experiencing symptoms during your cycle that you don't normally have. There is a massive feminine collective purge going on right now, and it's happening through the sacral chakra. So much of the pain and trauma that we have experienced in the feminine over millennia is starting to be healed. The clarity of the information of this energy is being integrated into the masculine as well, so that they can see, so that they can understand. So the masculine can see what has been done to the feminine and what can be done to support us now. For us, it's about releasing this energy and focusing on alignment, healing, and forgiveness. Forgiveness equals freedom. Anger is very easy. Forgiveness takes a master. So if you're feeling this energy, this collective purge through the feminine, through the sacral, through the womb space, you are not alone. We are being well supported. Many women...
Makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I thought she brought that in beautifully.
And I really see, because when the mother wound, as in also we inherit from the grandmother, and then it comes in, you know, that's why they use the monarch for MK Ultra, because monarch carries through the epigenetic line, just like the humans carry from the epigenetic line. We inherit and we are created in those codes and programs. And so when the women start carrying the kings, the future kings in our womb, and that relationship is like she is treated like a queen, and therefore she's birthing a king. And when we begin to take back the codes of our womb, and also the divine masculine takes back his seed, takes back his sacral chakra and all the chakras, then I mean, we are going to change this entire creation, because a king would not treat a queen, you know, it's like in the royal lines, in the true royal lines. It's just such a different experience. So that feeling goes into the child. And if that feeling is stress and fear and violation, like I have been a support worker from a crack addicted, born addicted to crack from a native mother who was a prostitute. This child, I helped him, I took care of him, and Oh my God, like the hell that child lived in. So, through though his adopted mother, he was becoming this beautiful prince. He cared for everyone. So I really do. It's like nature versus nurture. Ideally, it's both, but we can change when we reclaim ourselves and our seed and our egg. Yeah.
Absolutely, totally agree. And when you think about it, like even the birthing process, right? It's so inverted. It's so badly inverted. It's like there's so much stress, so much trauma involved in just that process of bringing life into this reality, right? And to me, that's like that holds the most amount of stress within the womb, right? By not giving that person that energy of safety, that energy of strength, that energy of support. She's bringing that person, that newborn, um, into this reality through fear, through pain, through anxiety, right? And then you've got all these doctors and nurses surrounding you, trying to tell you do this, do that, shouting at you. There's all of this trauma, this chaos that surrounds you when it's supposed to be a sacred act of bringing that divine being into fruition at this point in their lives, right?
Mm.
And so it's really very, very sad and how we've inverted all of these beautiful things that the Creator has blessed us with, right? And which is natural.
And not only is the birth trauma, but then we're abandoned by our parents because we're handed over to the system through the birth bond. And so the reclamation also that Shekinah Ma is speaking to is like the reclamation of our divine inheritance and direct connection to our eternal God parents, which helps then to heal and restore the relation between our biological parents. And so it just trickles down. Now, one thing I want to say is a solution to that, to shift out of that system of trauma and stress, is to consider that no force can influence you if you fully know your body. No force can influence you if you fully know your body. And so, if we begin our spiritual training, if we begin going within and connecting with our feeling, which we started the call with, I feel, and honoring the I feel, honoring the truth of resonance that is unique to you, and not having the shadow of doubt, which is a hijack, come in to make you do anything against yourself. The word sinning came up. I listened to that, what you sent, Shekinah Ma, about the Mary Magdalene gospel, and it talked about the sin, the word sin. And I was reflecting on that today too, thinking about the Catholic Church and how bad we started to feel about ourselves as sinners.
Mm.
And sin to me is anything that we do that goes against the self, that violates the body, that gives out over our power, that gives up our autonomy, that gives up our sovereignty. And so no force can influence us if we fully know our bodies. So isn't that a wonderful invitation to start to honor I feel, and to start to attune to your own resonance and understand it so well? It's like the know thyself, but also the body temple honoring. Then we won't go to the hospital. We will trust what our body is telling us. We will have full faith and trust in our ability to birth a child, or to birth a project, or to do things without requesting permission from a system that just wants us to continue the death and decay spiral, that wants to fracture us and separate us from the never-ending regenerative flow of eternal life that we are. So I just wanted to say that is like an invitation to solution. It's like, I love that you started us, Shekinah Ma, with with the body honoring. I just feel like that ties in so nicely in this moment. Thank you.
Well, I want to say, as like total credit to what you're saying, I am a woman who had 2 babies at home with a midwife. I did not birth in a hospital. My babies have never been to a hospital. They've never gone to a doctor. They're now 19 and 22 almost. And also, I've never been to a doctor for probably 40, 30 something years. So, it's actually very practical that this can be achieved. I mean, depending on your ability to come into that relationship, right? And also be aware of alternative methods that give us more of that, like honoring of the body, like acupuncture and massage and cranial sacral, and having, various different, there's so many now energetic modalities, Reiki, and, I mean, like there's just so many ways to be able to love on ourselves and our
Absolutely.
babies.
Absolutely. It's innate, isn't it, within us? It's like once we tune into those higher energies, we are guided what and how we need to treat our body, right? And so if we do the right things, like, eating, raw food or green juices, or, just being sacred, treating our body as a sacred temple, and that's what it is, right?
Mhm.
And so as we do all of those things, like, yoga, meditation, all of those things sort of blend into that sacred energy of keeping our body in that sacred space of purity, right?
Mhm.
And I laughed the other day when you sent us that message after you had done your acupuncture.
Mhm.
It's like you had connected with the divine, right? And so it's true,
Exactly.
it's like so innate when these things happen to us, right?
It is so innate. And I mean, I think like what I really realized in that experience was the deep, innate connection of us and Earth. And in that, like the Earth was a developing being, and I went into her hindbrain, which was that, time of dragons and dinosaurs, right? And so she had the dinosaurs or the dragons on her. And that was the developing of this, from that draconian connection, because, we often in our grid working and in many different modalities, we are like separating ourselves from those nasty Dracos and those freaking reptilians and grays and all these things. But I actually began to realize I am that reptilian. I am that Draco. I got the hindbrain to prove it. So, it's very interesting to be able to see ages and stages. And when you do raise a child, you will see, or have an animal, when you have that relationship of caring for another being, it don't always look pretty, guys.
No.
It's pretty crazy at times. And you just look at a kid having a temper tantrum in the shopping store, the grocery store, and everybody just walks away, and that mama is just like, oh my God. But it's really just that I really want to begin to, instead of divide and separate and judge and hate on, instead I really do see that Lilith and Lucifer forgiving. And I see that Kuan Yin just like holding space for forgiveness and healing and bringing together.
Yeah.
It just seems like the only way we're going to get through to enlightenment is through union.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think we've already witnessed that, right, through our work, through our Gridwork missions. Like, we've sort of touched into that 0 point field on many occasions, and we were able to do some incredible work, just by floating in and out of that reality field, if you will, right, where that divine Sophia energy, that divine Christos energy resides, right, and we
Yeah.
are able to reset all of those very difficult inversions, if you will, right?
Because that's what they did as examples for us, is to go and hang out with the lepers and the tax collectors and the Pharisees, and to be, the Sanhedrin, like they loved, right? The worst of the worst, like Sophia, the worst of the worst. Surrender them
Absolutely.
to the Father. Bring them to the throne of God.
Well, ladies, any closing thoughts before I bring up upcoming events? And then we have I guess, a meditation from Shekinah Grace.
Yeah, if we're running short on time, I feel like, I feel like our conversation is very like a oracular transmission and meditation. So we could save the meditation for a part 2, or I'll let you make the call. But I just wanted to speak to Shekinah Ma, when you mentioned how you saw the progression and the stages after your acupuncture. For one, when you told me about your acupuncture session, I felt something release from my own womb, which speaks to the truth that we are all part of the one body of the divine feminine.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something that I think we're healing. We're healing any sister fragmentation, or the sister wound, or the explosion of Tiamat and our body parts being strewn, and us feeling like we have this fragmented, we're not whole. And so we're acting from that pain of not feeling our wholeness and projecting. But I really see and feel in real time, and I've kind of had this consciousness for, since my 20s. I've always felt and that every woman was me. So I feel blessed to have had that as a part of what I came in with. But I felt this somatically when you said that. There was an actual release within my own body by you speaking to it. And I just wanted to share that with any listeners, that we are shifting out of the judgment and out of the projections. And it's that mitochondrial DNA that we're healing, and we're experiencing regenesis and restoration of that mitochondrial DNA. And it's like, if your sister's doing healing work, you're getting it too. And so we don't have to be in like fear of missing out either. There's that old like fear of missing out. Oh, I got to sign up for this or do this or to be involved. And it's just like, you know what? I can't do that right now, but you are. So thank you. Thank you so much for doing what you're doing, because I can just receive it through your effort and your work. So thank you for that.
That's so beautiful, Shekinah Grace. And we're all feeling that. Like, we're each doing our own courses and our own improvement. And we all come together and we all feel it, and that's so true. Like, we are energetically feeling each other's receiving and each other's blessings, and we are sharing it within our own astral body, if you will, right? But we are definitely receiving those blessings. So thank you for voicing that and bringing it forward. And like you said, and I think we've all talked to that. The moment we speak our truth, it falls into that reality, right? And so that's just an indication for our intention and what we want to do, right? So speaking it out is like turning that key, if you will, to correct it, to right it, to bring that upside down, if you will, into the righted position. I don't know about time, guys. Do you want to end it there or go ahead with the meditation? How are you guys feeling? Let's ask the audience as well. By the way, they've been agreeing with us throughout this entire transmission. The responses are, wow, that resonates. So true. Yes, beautiful. So we've had a lot of good comments in the chat box.
Well, traditionally, when
Shekinah
we
Ma, do
open
you?
the circle, we close the circle. So it does
Yes.
feel nice if Shekinah Grace will honor us with whatever feels right for her.
Yeah, I'm okay with it too. So let's go ahead with that.
Okay.
I think the audience will benefit as well. So let's go for it.
Beautiful. So I'll invite everyone, if it feels appropriate, to close your eyes and just come back to your connection with the breath of life. Taking a nice deep breath in and slowly out. And if it feels good, on your next exhale, just sounding it out. And shifting into that feeling body, that you're feeling awareness deep within your lower belly, within your womb, almost as if you're breathing into that womb, sacred womb temple space, breathing into the front, sides, and back of your sacral chakra. And with the exhales, maybe a sound or a tone or a hum. As we remember that we came from the cosmic holy womb, where all of creation was birthed from, the womb of no thing, where instantaneous healing and miracles exist. And from that womb, primordial womb space of no thing, came sound. So feel this, your sound. And then allowing that resonance to begin to be breathed or billow up into your heart chakra, your heart space. Breathing into the front, sides, and back of your heart. And perhaps on an exhale, also allowing a natural sound to come out. And just feel the flow between your heart and your womb. Allow these two centers to become a unified whole. Where we are no longer allowing anything to enter in and out of the womb without the heart's involvement. From this day forth, the heart will be consulted about what comes in and out of our holy womb temple. As we also create the intention, if you want to use the word vow, it's a strong word, but that all that gets created and birthed through the womb, all that is conceived and birthed, becomes a celebration of life, of creation, through our wholeness. Not through our body of pain, but through resonance, through harmony, sustained by love. We claim our feeling body of wisdom and truth, of resonance and intuition. We claim that no force can influence us because we fully know our bodies. We love and accept ourselves wholly and completely. Our bodies are perfect and healthy. Take a nice deep breath in. Slowly out. And opening your eyes when you're ready. Thank you so much.
Thank you, beautiful sister. That was awesome. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. I will put a link in the chat for all of our upcoming events. The next one is on the 25th of June, the new moon in Cancer. We would love to have you in our presence and celebrate this event with us. So let me see here. Okay, there we go. So it's in the chat box. We would love to have you come join us. Bring your voices, bring your prayers, bring your friends, bring your kids, bring your laughter, bring your song. We would love to engage with you. So please check us out. And we will see you next week.
Thank
Namaste. Thank you.